Hey everybody, I wanted to go over a quick tutorial on how to complete your 1, 2, 3, 4 recording project. You're going to see this doc posted in Google Classroom, and there are two ways to get to the project. The first way would be to click here on the link, and that would take you to the project. The other way will be through Google Classroom, where you will see the link posted as part of the assignment. So the first thing that we're going to do is click on this link. Now I've already done that, and it's taken me to project 2A right here. And in the directions, it says, please just make sure that Soundtrap is set to the built-in microphone. Now, if you have your own microphone, you are more than welcome to use that. Just make sure that whatever one you're using is set in the presets. And then be sure to use headphones. That's really important, especially when you're recording vocals or instruments or anything like that. Next, we're going to turn off the count-in and the metronome and record ourselves saying 1, 2, 3, 4. And you want to leave space between each word to make sure that you have enough time to edit out anything. And we'll show you how to do that in a second. Select a setting that does not have reverb, because we can always put that in later. And make sure monitoring is off, and we can change that in settings. So let's go through those first 3 steps right now. So we're going to add a new track right here, and we're going to select voice and microphone, and this screen is going to come up. We're going to come up where it says voice right here, and we're going to go over here and select dry. Now you can go up to this X and close that box out. We're going to come down here and just double check and make sure that our mic setting is correct. At this point, I'm going to use my microphone here that I'm using for this presentation, but you also have the option for your default internal microphone. So let's click away, and then we're going to do a quick mic check. I have posted another video for that, but if we're going to go over this really quick just in case you need a refresher. So it'll say start test, and just make sure that you record at multiple levels so it hears a full range of your volume for your voice. So here we go. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and we're done. And now we can move on. So I'm going to close out of this box here, and it said to turn off monitoring. So let's click this R right here, and you can see that. That says enable or disable recording. And it's going to ask, am I using headphones? Yes, I am. And if you're listening, you can hear this echo right now coming through, and that's the monitoring. I personally don't like that, so I want to turn it off. So I clicked on settings up here. You can see that up top, and I'm just going to come down right here to monitoring, and I'm going to click on that, and all of a sudden that echoing is gone. So we're going to leave that setting. Make sure that you guys save as you're going through this, because you don't want to lose the presets and the work that you have already done. So here is the next step. We're going to come down here. Don't worry so much about the tempo yet. We can always change that later. The metronome is off. And then here we're going to turn the count in off, because we don't need that as well, because we'll be eliminating dead space at this point. So let's come back here. And at this point, we are going to record ourselves saying 1, 2, 3, 4. So please pay attention to this part, so you can do it just like this. And I'll hit record. 1, 2, 3, 4. At this point, I am done recording that, and we are going to zoom in quite a bit here, so we can now edit these regions and edit out the dead space. So we're going to need to split the regions and separate each word as we do this. So I'm going to move the cursor here, and I'm just going to hit Control E or Command E if you're using a Mac, and it's going to separate this. This one is number 1. I'm actually going to edit the name and just put 1 so I don't forget which one it is. I'm going to come here and do the same thing. And that way, when we're copying and pasting these things and moving them around, it's going to be a lot easier. So let's zoom in a little more and edit out the dead space. So when you're editing out dead space, we want to make sure we turn off this snap to grid, because this allows us to fine tune everything a little more. So let's zoom in on number 1 here, and we're going to trim this back to try and get rid of all the dead space. Bring that all the way up to the start. And let's hear what that first one sounds like. 1, all right. And at this point, I would save again and make sure that I have all of my work saved and taken care of, and that way I don't have to do any of these steps again. So let's go back to our project. And we've done number 5 and split, and now, we've done number 4 and eliminated dead space. So number 5 says copying and pasting. Move the audio chunks around. Create a simple 16 measure 1, 2, 3, 4 rhythmic composition. Now, as you arrange the numbers, make sure they land on the correct beat of each measure. For instance, 2 should always land on beat 2 of a measure. If you had number 1, 1 should always land on beat 1 of a measure. You don't have to use every number and every measure, and you can change it up as you want throughout the 16 measure composition. Also, when you're done with that, please add at least 1 track to your project. You can add more than 1 if you would like and have some fun with this, but the requirement is at least 1 track. You can add loops, drum beats, or some kind of loop, software instrument, or you can experiment with Soundtrap's Beatmaker, and you'll have more on this later in our next drum beat unit. Lastly, just make sure to save it, and we will be ready to go. So at this point, I'm going to show you how to copy and paste a couple of these examples, and then after that, I'm going to show you quickly like a simple 8 measure composition so you guys can see how that all gets put together. So when we're arranging these, we're going to add a new track again. We're going to come down here and select voice and microphone, although you won't need to be recording anything, but we're just going to select the same settings, X out of that, and we're going to move these around so they are on the correct beats. So we're just going to select, we're going to copy it. Let's say we're going to come to beat 1 right away. We're going to select this track, and we're going to paste that onto beat 1. And you can see up here that's the number 1 for measure 1, the number 2 for measure 2, and these slashes here, you can see them. This is beat 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're on to the next measure. Okay, so let's now pick the number 3. We're going to copy this, select this track again. So this is beat 2. Oh, let's turn on our snap to grid. So now we have beat 1, beat 2, beat 3. And now we are ready to go. Now we'll choose beat 4 here. So we have 1 and 3, and now we're at beat 4. So I just got to make sure I select the correct track to copy that into. And we're good. So if I muted this track, here's what you would hear if I turn the metronome on. 1, 3, 4. And you can hear how each one is on the correct beat. Now I don't have to pick this tempo. If you do choose a slower tempo and you've recorded, for example, let me show you this. I could select the tempo 80, and it's going to ask you a question. Audio adjustment. Would you like to adjust your audio data to match the new tempo? Yes, you would. Please adjust that, and then it's not going to trim your audio in a really weird way to where you're not going to have part of your number. So now if we were to select this again, 1, 3, 4, and you can hear that the words might have been slowed down a little bit, but you still have the entire word. So let's come over here, and I can show you how I just did a quick 8 measure project. These are my original recordings up here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then down here, I have arranged 8 measures of 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I just put a real simple drum beat under it. So let's hear what this would sound like. Now, just so you know, this is half the project. You would need to complete half, and you could always add more to it underneath if you would like. So here's what this would sound like. 1, 3, 2, 4. 1, 3, 2, 4. 2, 3, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you would compose another 8 measures and be ready to go. This was very vanilla. It was very bland, but I did it just for having you guys hear how to put this project together. My guess is you guys will come up with something that was way more creative than that, okay? So let's go back here. At this point, you will hit save. The only thing I'm gonna ask you guys to do at this point, and this is not in the directions, But when you're done with your project and you hit save, copy the URL up here and then attach it to your Google Classroom assignment when you hit done. And that way I won't have to search through Soundtrap to find your project. It'll just be there, and then it'll make grading a lot quicker. Well, guys, that is it. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day and happy composing. See you. Bye.